Hello, everybody, and welcome to the National Inventor Club. My name is Brian Freed, and we have a great lineup of guests and introductions tonight. We always bring you as much information as we can for the inventor community out there. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get to it. First, I'd like to make a couple quick announcements. If you haven't already, take a look at the Inventor Smart newsletter. I'll share with you a little bit later in the meeting in the chat the link to the Inventor Smart newsletter. It has Got Invention Show interview summaries. It has some of the latest tips and tricks and different events for inventors out there, inventor quotes, a lot of great advice and information. So please take a look at the Inventor Smart newsletter, and you can sign up every month. We're going to be doing that. I also wanted to tell you that next month, I know we have Dottie from MakerBot tonight. I just wanted to give a quick sneak peek preview for next month. We have a representative from Alibaba.com on our National Inventor Club meeting. So I'm very excited about that for November. Also, if you'd like to sign up as a member, it's free. We also have membership with benefits, and that's for inventors and service providers. You get to introduce yourself at one of the upcoming meetings. You get to participate in a inventor showcase or service provider showcase where you can display your invention to the group, and also, if you're a service provider, discuss what kind of services you can provide to help inventors out there. You also get to be part of the directory and also part of the forum. So definitely has benefits if you're a member with benefits, but we also have free membership. And you also get this t-shirt. And you can take a look at on the front homepage of the website. You can see some of the inventors that are with benefits have pictures on there. So very cool. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get to it. Dottie is from MakerBot. She's our guest speaker, Dottie Stewart. She's a senior executive from MakerBot. Before we introduce Dottie, we have a couple quick announcements. First, we have somebody special to me. He's from DBNA Network. His name is David Brunner. Hello, David. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And what's your special announcement?
I'm Dave Brunner, President and CEO of DBNA Television Network. 28 years I was a talent agent, and this past year we decided to start a television network. And what we're doing is we're doing a pilot for the holidays. It's called Holiday Shopping at DBNA Television. And what we want to do is we want to invite your viewers to participate in this if they're interested. Basically, what we're going to do is we're looking for 10 products to focus on for 4 minutes on a show. It's going to run every Saturday and Sunday in November and December, twice every weekend. It's going to be called Holiday Shopping at DBNA Television. And what we're going to do is, Brian, we're going to pick 10 products to highlight on the show. You get 4 minutes to talk about your product and sell it. The great news is it's free of charge. What we're doing is, to be honest with you, we're putting a pilot together to see if this is a show that we can do when January and February rolls around. We figure if we can sell the products as we think we can in November and December for the holidays, we should be able to do the same thing in January and February. So again, we'd like to invite 10 products, 4 minutes apiece for your presentation, to be on a show called Holiday Shopping at DBNA Television. It's going to run every Saturday, every Sunday morning, November, December, and you get to sell your product for free on the network. By the way, if you're not familiar with the network, we're on Roku. We're also on Amazon Fire. We're going to be on Apple in November. We also are on other networks and platforms, and we're also the home of the Got Invention Show with Brian Freed every day at 12 o'clock.
Thank you so much, David. So did everybody hear that? David Brunner has a new show coming out, and he's asked me to host it, which I'm very excited about. You just need to send me, I guess for now, David, right? Send me your, and you need to have your product available for sale. So you'll be on the show free. I'll do a quick recording with you. We'll send it into David. His team will clip it and put it into the show. And you get to be on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube TV, right?
Yes, right now we've got 60,000 loyal viewers on a weekly basis. So we're hoping that we can add a few more. So
very nice.
Again, every Saturday and Sunday in November and December, the show is going to be called Holiday Shopping at DBNA Television. It's a pilot, and we're hoping to actually do one every month starting in January.
Very cool. Thank you so much, David. And they can just send me an email for now, and then we'll keep track of it. You can send it to Brian Fried, BrianFried @gmail.com is fine. Just use that email for now. And David, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much for that opportunity for the inventors out there that have product available for sale and now can sell it on your platform free. We appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a look here. All right. Okay, we have another special guest. We have Elizabeth Doherty. She is the Eastern Regional Outreach Director for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Elizabeth, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being part of the introductions to National Inventor Club. Any great information, exciting information happening from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office?
Sure enough. Happy to be here with you this evening, Brian. Always a pleasure to interact with you in your office, you and your National Inventor Club. Although I've got to say, David's a tough act to follow. I don't have a TV show to advertise, but I can't wait to tune in and watch his and see some of your inventors and their remarkable products. I have two quick pieces of information for your viewing audience this evening, one of which is today, just today, President Biden named a nomination to head the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's Kathy Vidal, who heads the Winston and Strawn office in Silicon Valley. It's a law office in Silicon Valley. We don't know what her success will be like navigating the Senate confirmation process, but we are excited to have someone named. And by reading her biography, she sounds incredibly talented, and she would be a wonderful individual to head the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So we're hopeful that this will go through the process smoothly, but let's keep an ear out to listen for that. My other quick piece of information is I want everyone to be paying attention tomorrow, because tomorrow there is going to be a program that's involving the Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, the CEO of Oracle, Kaffer Satz, and a wonderful organization featuring and sponsoring and encouraging women in STEM called the Anita B. Organization. This program tomorrow is going to be an opportunity for the Secretary to make some very special announcements regarding what was previously known as the National Council for Expanding American Innovation. The National Council is something that was stood up by our immediate past director, Andre Yanku, and which continues today. And the efforts of that council, whatever it may be named in the future, are to diversify the world of those who see themselves as inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. We have to expand the population of those who are participating in our invention and innovation life cycle, because otherwise we're competing against the rest of the world with four fingers and one hand tied behind our back. So look for that big announcement tomorrow. Again, the Secretary of Commerce is throwing her support behind this effort, and many of the programs and initiatives that are going to come out of this effort are going to directly assist and facilitate members of your audience in participating with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and being successful and being inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. Brian, it was a pleasure being here, and I hope that drop the mic moment on both of those was exciting enough, and we look forward to being back with you next month.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth Doherty from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Really appreciate having you here. Thank you, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Okay, let's introduce Will Salas. He is from the Patent and Trademark Resource Center, which is also a division of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, with some inventor tips for searching for your invention or trademark. Is that right, Will?
Yes, Brian, thanks for having me on. Tonight, we're going to talk golf balls. We're going to pretend for tonight we're a golf ball inventor, and what I want to do is make sure no one's beating me to the punch. How I can do that is with a classification search. I'm going to talk really fast, so don't worry. I'm going to put in my contact information in the private chat later, so you can contact me for free. I'll go over any kind of demonstration, patents or trademarks. So for tonight, golf balls, I'm going to share my screen. I want to do a classification search because the patent office gets all kinds of things thrown at it every single year, and everything gets thrown into a classification, sometimes several classifications. So my job as an inventor is to find out which classification my invention falls under and take a look at all the inventions in that classification, see if my invention is already out there. If you're looking at my screen now, Brian, do you see I'm at the USPTO website?
Yep.
All righty. So from the home page, I'm going to come over to the patents tab here, and then I'm going to select search for patents. Under all this great information, I'm going to start with an international search because the classification that we're going to use was spawned by the Europeans. So I'm going to start at the European Patent Office called a SPOSNet.
A SPOSNet?
A SPOSNet, European Patent Office. So again, I want to perform a classification search. So luckily, I have this classification search button here, which gets me to the beginnings of their classification system. Again, we're talking golf balls. So of these different categories here, golf balls would fall under category A, human necessities. And we all like to have fun, like to be healthy. So it's under health and amusement, I find sports games. Now I have A63. This is the beginnings of my classification. I see ball games here. Now I have A63B.
I'm not sure if the pages are moving well. We're still on the CCD and Search International Patents Office page.
Oh, my apologies. So if you're seeing that page now, I'm going to click on the link that right next to here where it says European Patent Office. Okay. There's a link to get to the European Patent Office.
I think it's opening up on a different page. That's the issue. It might be a pop-up, right?
Oh, I see.
And you're sharing one tab.
Nevertheless, Brian, not to worry, because what I do with people, I'm going to go back to stop sharing, and I'm back on screen. My apologies for the technical issues, but what I do for folks is by demonstration. I don't give out business or legal advice. I will demonstrate for you a patent search so that you get to understand how classification works. And really what you want to do is get that classification so that you can find out, you can use that classification in patent offices around the world, because your invention does have to be new to the whole world. And a lot of folks like to use keywords because we're all so used to using Bing and Yahoo and Google. But remember, people around the world and even around the country use different terms for the same thing. So classification search accounts for all of that. No matter what you might term the bathroom or a privy or outhouse or what have you, the loo, if you're European, no matter what you call it, it'll be still a bathroom on the classification system. So that's what I teach folks. We do it for free at the Smithtown Library. If you're in the Long Island area, I'm happy to meet with you personally. Or if you're outside of the Long Island area, I can meet with you via Google Meet. Again, my contact information will be in the private chat. And Brian, thanks again for having me on.
Thank you very much, Will. By the way, so PTRC is a division of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Elizabeth Doherty, who was on before from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, if you're an inventor or you're involved in something innovation inventor related, definitely take a look at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, USPTO.gov. And there's plenty of inventor resources area there. Just like Will, who provides a free service, he'll help you to do a patent search, not give you an opinion, not necessarily tell you how your idea is or if your idea is a good idea, but he'll help you to compare what other types of products or ideas that are out there that might compare to yours. Thank you very much, Will.
Welcome, Brian.
Okay, let's have some of our new inventors. Some of them we've seen. They've been involved with the Inventor Showcase, but haven't necessarily done an inventor intro to the meeting. So let's say hello to Rosalie Strawcutter. How are you, Rosalie? Thank you for joining National Inventor Club. If if you could tell us who you are, where you're from, and why you joined.
I am Rosalie Strawcutter. I live in Galloway, Ohio. It's on the west side of Columbus, Ohio. And I've had many creations over the years that have been borrowed and made by other people and or companies. But mainly because I'm creative and I don't know what to do next insofar as getting something moving. My focus is primarily health. I've been in the health field for a long time. Most of my family's in the health field. And my invention is a woman's health device. I also, actually, one of your, Alexis Manatone is one of the members here. And I was with her at the HSN event in Cincinnati, demonstrating a product I made like in 2 days just to get there to that show. They didn't accept it, but Claudia Schiffner has one. She's wearing one.
Well, thank you very much, Rosalie.
Thank you.
It's great. Thank you again for being a National Inventor Club member, and we look forward to having you as part of an Inventor Showcase in the future. And I think you just became a member, so you should be getting your T-shirt any day. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's meet Catrice Moore. Catrice, how are you? Welcome to, and thank you for being a National Inventor Club member. If you could tell us who you are, where you're from, and why you joined.
Hi, I'm Catrice Moore. I'm from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and I joined because I needed to be involved with people of my peers because they say great minds think alike. I develop and I design unique robotic products in the trash area, baby toddler products, and I also have an art, the Morax art collection. So at Morax Design LLC, we're not limited to what we design. But the first two products is called the Morax trash can and the Morax trash liner. It's a smart trash can, and it's coming soon. I think licensing is too outdated for me right now, so I'm looking for one investor or investors to bring along the Morax Marathon. So I got good potentials. So just bear with me. They're coming soon. My
Good.
products will be coming soon.
Good. Thank you so
And
much,
thanks for
Catrice.
having me, Brian.
Thank you. And keep on inventing, right, Catrice? Keep doing it.
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Keep going.
Excellent. All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you. All right. Let's get to Herb Bennett. How you doing, Herb? Thank you for becoming a member. Hope you enjoy your shirt on its way. If you could tell us who you are, where you're from, and why you joined.
Wonderful. Excuse me. I'm Herb Bennett. I operate in Brooklyn, New York. I'm from the Caribbean. And creativity is something that I've always been involved in. But finding a group that I can, of like-minded innovators and creative thinkers, has been something I avoided for a while until I was kind of developing my own strategies and what have you. So I'm in sort of serving others kind of mode now, sharing and collaborating. And I have some inventions as an architect also. I invent structural systems for housing and other kinds of containers and containerization. And so inventing forms, in other words, with new and interesting shapes and geometries and what have you. So that's my purpose, my mission, and my vision. And welcome to the world of the new paradigm, because we are in a very exciting phase of the history of the world right now. And I see nothing but prosperity and a whole new way of looking at the world.
I love it.
It needs to be reinvented.
Thank you so much, Herb. Really appreciate you being a member, and keep doing what you do. And we'll be seeing you very soon on an upcoming Inventor Showcase. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, we have one more. We have Tarkan Bastalia. Did I say it correctly?
It's Bastiali.
Bastiali. I almost got it. Tarkin, if you could tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you invented.
Well, I'm based in New York City, and I'm wearing, you see my shirt, has my Bastiali logos on here and smart sanitizer. So you can find all about information about all of my inventions on my site, bastialiinventions.com. And to start off, I have the hologram, the concept for the moving hologram mat over the taxi. Then I have the smart safe. The idea is the car does not start unless the phone is in the center console, and have UV lighting that kills COVID as part of my claims, and I had that before COVID. Then I have the phone locker. That'll be great for the schools. So shut off the phone 5 minutes before 1 o'clock, let's say, so enticing the students to put their phone in the locker. Then I have Reserve My Lounger, which is an app-like concept that's patent pending. And then I have Reserve My Buoy for boating. I'm a big boater. So there's a big need for that as well. So.
Thank you very much, Tarkin. And your website is right there. We can go on and we can see 3D animated videos and some of the great innovation that you've developed. So congratulations and thank you for becoming a member.
Thank you. One more thing, if I want people to follow me on my Instagram page, Bastiali Inventions. I'm going to be launching my newest idea that's going to change the way for a new idea for flying taxis, a concept related to that. So.
Excellent. Thank you again, Tarkin. Thanks for being a member.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a lot. So we had U.S. Patent and Trademark Office tips, Will Salas from Patent and Trademark Resource Center. You can, if you have product that is already available for sale, we had David Brunner from DBNA Network going to be starting a new show. I get to host it. So connect up with me and share your information so I can connect up with you and we can get you on the TV show. That's going to be a pilot show. So great stuff there. Okay. We have Dottie Stewart. She is an senior executive from MakerBot. And we've heard a lot about 3D printing. Let's get you on there. How you doing, Dottie?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. So inventors, entrepreneurs, tinkerers, whatever you want to call them, 3D printing, whether you have your own or you're outsourcing or you're working with engineers, whatever it is, if you're looking to make prototypes, low production run, if you want to do one of those, if you have parts that you need to replace, it's unbelievable what 3D printing, I've even heard that there's 3D printing of food, there's 3D printing of limbs. I don't want to give away your whole presentation, Dottie, but it's unbelievable what 3D printing can do. Before we start with Dottie, if you don't mind, because I always forget this and I get yelled at afterwards, if you don't mind, I appreciate everybody supporting National Inventor Club. Just if you can like the page, subscribe, really appreciate it. This way, when we do post something, you'll get some notification of the next meeting. But I know if you're a member, you also get it. But just take a moment and just like the page, share the page, keep doing what I'm doing. Next month, we have Alibaba.com, a lot of great stuff happening. So thank you before I forget. All right. So Dottie, MakerBot, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what MakerBot is about, and then we'll share your presentation.
Perfect. Yes, I hopefully I'm worthy of all that the people that came before me, because that was really inspiring. I am super excited to be here. Yes, I am the VP of Channel Sales for MakerBot. MakerBot is one of the leading desktop printers, 3D printers in the world. And we've got lots of things to talk about. I know that you said some of your audience is familiar with 3D printing and some is not. So we're just going to kind of go through a little bit of what 3D printing is, and then kind of give your inventors some aspirational goals in ways that they might be able to utilize this. So if not everybody is utilizing 3D printing right now, I think they might be pretty excited. So should I just go ahead and share my screen so we can
Absolutely. Well, yep, I have to add it to the studio. So can you just share it real quick and then I'll see it and I'll be able to add it.
Yes. Let's see.
Excellent. So MakerBot is located in Brooklyn, in New York?
Yes, Brooklyn, New York. And I'm actually sitting in our office right now. As you can see, I've got a printer sitting right behind me. It's the first time I've actually been in our office since March of 2019.
Congratulations. All because of this meeting, right?
No, we actually had another meeting here. Otherwise, I would have been out of my home office. But yes, I am here for another meeting. But yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to blame me, love me, hate me, but thank you for being in the office there. And the 3D printer behind you looks amazing. We'll take a look at that later and some of the things that it can produce. But your presentation is up. I just wanted to make sure that you added it with the sound. So when you get to the video, were you able to do that?
Where would I add that again?
Only when it came in. So I'm going to remove it for a second and add it one more time before you add it. If you don't mind just adding the volume so everybody can hear it.
Okay, so I'll do stop share and then share screen. Oh, there it is right there. I see it.
Perfect.
Okay, I got it.
I told you it was hidden.
It was. Sorry about that.
Okay, great.
All right. So
tell us about your world of 3D printing and MakerBot.
Yeah, so there are lots of different types of 3D printing. Okay, so like you were talking about food and clothing, and those use different types of 3D printing. And we're not going to go into all of the different types. We're just going to talk about what we do at MakerBot, and it's FDM printing. And so basically what we do is called fused deposition modeling. For, if you want to get fancy and you want to sound fancy when you leave tonight, you can go tell everybody that you learn about fused deposition modeling. It sounds exciting. But basically, when you boil it down really simply, what you're doing is laying down layers of a material until you make an object. And so that object could be something as simple as something like this, which is just like a vacuum cleaner, like a vacuum cleaner hose. It could be something like that. Or it could be something complex, like, let's say you needed to make an insect model. Here's a great big giant insect model. So you can do very simple to very complex objects when you 3D print, and I'll show a few more later on. But basically, when you see each one of these models, it starts out as just, you've got to kind of picture this, but it's basically laying down layer by layer by layer by layer until you get the full object. So pretty crazy, right?
Very interesting.
So when you think about the history of 3D printing, and I just did this just to give people an idea. When you think about MakerBot, you'll notice that first MakerBot was from 2009, and it was literally a box, a wooden box. We have transformed the 3D printing industry. We were one of the first 3D printers on the market that you could actually buy and use as an inventor. In 2013, we were actually acquired by Stratasys. Again, if you're not somebody that's familiar with 3D printing, Stratasys is the largest 3D printing company in the world. They have tons of much higher end. They do all the things, print clothing, anything and everything you want to do. But we were acquired by them. What we focus on is desktop printing. So all of you inventors out there, if you're inventing at home, or if you work for a company, like you work for Ford, or you work in an engineering capacity, this is something that you literally, you can see right behind me, you can have on your desk, and you can iterate and prototype. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we see people doing.
Dottie, you know what?
Yes.
When I first started Invent, I'm outdating myself here, but if that's what you say, I'm aging myself. When I first started inventing, I couldn't even find somebody with a 3D printer. It was really difficult. There were industrial ones that it was kind of like inventors, hands off, really. We're not working with you. We have our own things going on, industrial type prototypes and things. But I ended up having to find somebody out of the country to make a prototype back in the day. And it's unbelievable how it's evolved, and Stratasys and MakerBot, all these different opportunities now to be able to just like buying a regular inkjet printer to be able to have a 3D printer on your desk. And this is amazing how the history of the evolution of 3D printers is happening.
Well, and my question to you is, do you remember how much it cost to get that prototype done?
It was very expensive. Well, it's kind of like supply and demand when there's nobody really making them and we have no choice and we barely were able to find one. They can charge whatever they want. Now it's great that people have, you probably know somebody who has a 3D print, not you, Dottie. I'm talking to the
I definitely do. I know somebody. So yeah, and so you really look, and we've now evolved, and we have printers that are, you know, around $1,000 that do small volume, and you know, just your kind of your PLA prints. That's going to be your sketch, and then we've got the Method and Method X, and we'll get into a little bit more about what kinds of things you can do. But I think the audience will be really surprised what they can accomplish with these printers. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
And so again, for the audience, you know, who uses 3D printing? Like who out there does? And many of you would be surprised. I mean, product design, this is something that is being built into product design, not only the design, but the manufacturing. So when you think about it, right, I might be iterating and making things on my desk, but then when you take this and you put it on a line, then you're going to be using something like a Stratasys printer. You're going to be using something much bigger. And I've got a kind of a cool video to show you of a company that's doing just that. But engineers, any of you that are engineers out there, if you do any kind of CAD design, you can take those CAD designs, those 3D designs, and bring them to life. And then again, medical, I can go on and on and on about all the different areas that are utilizing 3D printing. But even we have schools that have kindergartners starting to design in Tinkercad. So you know, this is not something that's crazy. This is real life today.
Yeah. And what's great about 3D printing for inventors out there is that we can come up with something. If we had a 3D printer in our house, we could just come up with something, work on the program that Dottie will explain to us, and then we could just print out things. Or you hire somebody to do the CAD, the 3D drawing, and then you can print it yourself, or you can upload it to different companies. But we're talking to MakerBot tonight, so you can either purchase a MakerBot printer, or you can find somebody with a MakerBot printer and be able to print it. But what's nice is, like, Tapeweight is putting a couple comments in that you might make a couple prototypes. So before you go into production, or before you share your files with somebody, maybe you're trying to get a licensing deal and you want to share your files, or you're going into production, it's a great way to test. And you might have to do 2, 3, 4, maybe it's one, you hit the home run, but you might make a few iterations of it. You might see something that you might want to change, or maybe it's too thick or too thin. And right, Dottie? I mean, it doesn't matter what industry, really, it's a chance for you to really test, or you can have fun with it. Like a lot of people do too, is just make fun things or parts, which you'll explain.
Right, and so that leads right into common uses. That's exactly what we're talking about. So functional prototypes. Inventors, you prototype. You're engineers. So what we're talking about with functional prototype is uncovering design flaws. And Brian, you just hit on that before going to production. Because when you go to production, that's expensive to find a mistake at that point. So imagine if you could test fit, form, function, make sure everything fits together, make sure it fits, you know, the product that you want, make sure it's the right material that you want. All of those things can be done again at your desk, whether that's in a, you know, corporate setting, or whether that, Brian, like you said, at your own place. Manufacturing tools. This is another huge use for 3D printing. It's to improve the quality and reduce manufacturing costs. And I'm going to give you an example of that here in just a minute as well. And then end use parts, literally, you know, low volume, went too fast there. Low volume production runs for custom parts, right? So let's say, for example, I'm maybe doing something, let's say I'm fixing up a car, like, and I'm making that car, and I need a specific little part that maybe broke off of something that you just can't get it anywhere. Well, now you can just make it, just print it out. So any kind of end use part. So let's take a look at some examples. And so, Brian, do you recognize any of these things?
That looks like what I didn't use today, but a Peloton up in the top left. Is that right?
A Peloton. And then underneath it, do you notice that we have the knobs there?
Yep.
And so Peloton actually did use our printer. And what they did, this is just a simple example, but how do you know what shape you want for the knob? So imagine now, instead of, again, having to guess or imagine or send it off somewhere, I could print off 15 different versions of a knob. Or let's say eventually you want to get your product into a massive big box store, but that big box store requires you to have one little difference on your product for their store specifically. Now, notice each one of those knobs is different. So maybe you have a different knob or you have a different pedal shape. And again, rather than having to produce that all at once, you can actually iterate and make new ones.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a bunch of questions that are coming in.
Okay.
So as soon as Dottie finishes her presentation here, we're going to be able to answer the questions. So keep them coming in, or you can just wait until I ask for them, and we'll get your question up there so Dottie can answer.
Good.
Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, I am not the engineer. That's not who you got today, but I can print. That's good. But if they're heavy duty engineering questions, I may have to pull on my engineering team to help with that.
That's okay.
But then over here on the right hand, so again, these speakers, this little bunny, again, you want to come up with the speaker casings that are unique, or a phone case or anything like that. Again, how are you going to make that? Well, with 3D printing, you can literally design in CAD and then just practice, print it out, see if it fits. Once you have your functional model, then you can think about like massive manufacturing. Now, you're not going to do massive manufacturing with a desktop printer, typically, but it's going to help you get to the point where you're ready to do that. And then over here, this was something interesting that I just thought everybody would want to see. Again, it's just an example of a very functional part, which is a wheel clamp assembly. So the problem this solar panel company was having is that they kind of had this flash tester had a glass top, and they didn't want to damage it. So they designed this wheel clamp as an integrated assembly. It had hinges and latches, and the method prints it at all at one time. And I actually have something that looks kind of like it. It's not the exact same one, but notice here, you see how this prints? And it actually has movable parts. It literally prints like that. So you can print and make things move.
You didn't have to put that together, right? It just prints.
Just prints. Yeah, and then this is another example of something that moves. Now, this is not really functional, but it's a lizard. And do you see how it moves? So all of the joints, like literally, so I know people are probably thinking, okay, 3D printing, I'm going to print something that's completely stable, but you can actually print things that are all together.
Let's see if we can see it this way. Yep.
Movable. Oh, isn't that fun?
That's really cool.
So again, I've got lots of little things over here as we kind of go through, but the beauty of this is without really playing with anything, you can print hinges and things that function, again, all as one piece. So
Dottie,
think about how long it would take to put that together, right, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple questions. I mean, one, just while we're on here, like Alex, for example, I'll just throw this on real quick. How do I define the missing part for my car or anything else? Are there 3D scanners, or should I contact the manufacturer to get their CAD file?
Either one. You can maybe contact them. Now, they may not have it, but yes, you can 3D scan. They do have 3D scanners out there. That's not something, we don't make the scanners, but they do have 3D scanners out there. And I've got a thing at the end where we'll kind of talk about the 3 different ways to kind of make a print. But yeah, you just need to have, like if you have the broken one that you kind of, put together, or you can then design it if you would like to.
Great.
So this is our video. So I was going to show this robotics and information, because I think this really makes the picture for you as an inventor and how a company is actually using this in a functional way. So I'm going to go ahead and play, and Brian, just let me know if you can't hear it.
We have these $1 million machines that are out there on the production floor, and right next to these machines, we have a MakerBot method 3D printer that was about $6,000, and it's that $6,000 machine that is able to keep a $1 million machine running through automation. My name is Gary Kuzman, and I am the owner of All Access Machining and All Access Robotics, located in Dallas, Texas. We are a facility that makes custom parts for customers around the world in aerospace, defense, and commercial applications. For all owners, including myself, automation is a key to being productive and also profitable. You have to be both. And with the implementation of the automation we have in our shop, I'm actually able to reduce our hourly costs significantly to be competitive with other companies that outsource their products to be made overseas. With the MakerBot method 3D printer, we were up and running in about 1 to 2 days, and that's the simplicity of the operation.
My name is Dave Perkowski, and I'm the general manager of All Access Robotics. So we require dimensional accuracy in order to be able to, let's say, build an end effector that's going to fit on the end of the robot. So we need precision within 4/1000ths of an inch. And we are incredibly satisfied with the MakerBot method actual output from that location perspective. We have a high precision CMM to measure our MakerBot parts to make sure that the holes that we place into this part are within tolerances that we need. And lo and behold, we are very happy.
So my name is Christian Almendarez. I am the engineering manager here at All Access Machining. In a high mix, low volume shop like ours, it's having a MakerBot method has enabled us to be able to meet the wide variations of parts that we have. This is the end effector for the robot. It's a 3D printed sander. You have the 2 surfaces for 2 different grits, and then an attachment for a vacuum hose on there. This sits on the robot, and the robot will go through and sand and vacuum at the same time. If I wanted to machine this, take into consideration the tool cost, the time to program, and the time to set up the machine and run it, I'm looking at $3,000, $9,000. If I wanted to 3D print this with the MakerBot method, it costs us maybe $5 to $10.
There's a very large need to develop custom parts, and not all of this is possible by making them on a CNC machine. So when we purchased the MakerBot method 3D printer, we automatically obtained all that capability for customizing all these different parts that we need.
Did you catch Brian how much he said the part cost before and how much they could make the part for after using the 3D printer?
It's unbelievable. The amount of savings that these companies would end up that they're saving, and not only for them, for the big companies, for us. Before
Correct.
we go into production or before we sign off on a CAD file, somebody makes a CAD file for us, right? To be able to know that they did a good job. It's really important to be able to test. And these days it's so easy and inexpensive, and inexpensive is relative to what that means to people, but you'll go over, Dottie, what and how we can actually 3D print and the material and what kind of cost there is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we kind of go through, again, what I want all of you all to realize is, there's a lot of opportunities, but I think some of the 3 main printer opportunities that you have in the traditional manufacturing realm, it's going to help you cut cost, it's going to help you save time, and it's going to increase your throughput. When you look at desktop 3D printing, just in general, if you already have a 3D printer, what he was talking in the Access Robotics video about, he was talking about needing dimensional accuracy. There's certain 3D printers that are going to do certain things for you. And then again, industrial 3D printing, that's gonna do your access. It's going to increase your throughput. But really what we want to do is we want to focus on cutting your costs, saving your time, and increasing your throughput. So when we look at materials And we can geek out about materials, Brian. We can geek out about materials. But one of the things that's really important when you're buying a 3D printer is to understand what your needs are. Because there are printers that say, oh, we can print anything, but will it print it accurately? So one of the things that makes Stratasys unique is the ability to have a heated chamber. So I want your folks to geek out with me for just a second. And this is like geek out in I'm not an engineer kind of way. But think about when you have something that's hot and you're going to print it, right? Because remember, we're putting down those layers. So a lot of printers will have a heated build plate, okay? So if that plastic or the filament is what it's called is going to go down, and once you get up away from the build plate, what's the filament up here going to be like? Cold.
Might be a little wobbly.
And cold. And down here is warm. So what happens is there's just some shifting and some bending, and so when you get that part done, so I showed you this part earlier, and this seems pretty simple, but actually, let me grab this one. This one's
and by the way, for those of you who are watching, if you're not going to buy a 3D printer, which is fine, just to be able to know when you are asking somebody to 3D print what they have to do and what how the 3D printer works is definitely to your advantage.
Correct. And I mean, look at this piece right here. So I can take this, and if this is not really accurate, this is not going to fit together. But do you notice, I mean, there are literally no breaks. I mean, this looks like one piece going back and forth. If this is not printed in the right environment, it's not going to do that. So you want to make sure that you can print. So make sure you're asking the right questions. And we've got people that can help you answer questions, but making sure you have an open materials platform if you want open materials, and understand what kinds of materials are available. So when you look at our platforms, these are all the different kinds of things you can print with: nylon, carbon fiber, tough, nylon, PETG. We've got PVA, PLA, Kimya. Now, I'm not going to go through every one of these today on the call because I would, bore everybody to tears. But how many of you knew that you could literally 3D print nylon carbon fiber? You can.
Very interesting.
ABS.
So right. So these are all, like, some people might be hearing these for the first time. ABS is a very hard plastic. Sometimes it's food grade. A lot of the things that you have in your kitchen. But some of these parts are really strong. And Dottie, you showed us the puzzle piece before. That was printed together or separate?
This is printed as two separate pieces on the same. They are printed as two separate pieces, and then you put them together.
Okay. So
this
your
3D
printers can feed any type of material. So we can buy the material, and we can, depending on what kind of elaborate prototype we want to make. If it's something we're just kind of going through and quickly just seeing how it is, then that's fine. If we want something to be able to make a better presentation, maybe we're pitching a licensee, maybe we're pitching or we're showing for an event, or maybe we're making a product for, like you said, for your car, for your Peloton. So there's all different types of materials, and I'm sure there's different costs for them too.
There definitely is, for sure. But again, with the labs material, with the labs extruder, you can actually experiment with other materials. So these are not all MakerBot materials, but I think having that open platform is super helpful. Now, the other thing that's here, you'll notice that they've got this PVA. The other thing I want to kind of talk about is soluble support materials. And this is a big deal. So you have what are called single extrusion printers. That means you get one type of filament that comes out at a time. Then there are dual extrusion printers. The real benefit of that dual extrusion printer, it has nothing to do with colors. Take colors and set it aside. We don't care about that. You're going to color your things a different way. But when you're prototyping, this is an example. Now, does anybody recognize this part? Does anybody recognize it? What is this?
What is it?
It's the sander that we just saw. Remember the two pieces, the two sides? But you'll notice, do you see all this white that's around it? This is called soluble support materials. So what that means is when you print things, you have to support different areas of the structure for it to print properly. With a single extrusion printer, you have break off. So that means I would have to imagine just breaking these pieces off. That's not going to be very good for this. So what we can do is we can put a soluble support material around it. And then notice that on my screen there's a bucket of water. You're going to take this, you're going to put it in water, and all of this is going to miraculously disappear. And you are going to be left with just the end use part. And we actually have 3 different types of soluble support materials. There's PVA, there's rapid rinse, which is brand new. And this is like hot news for your community because it just came out last week. It was on the 19th. So brand new announcement, ABSR and the rapid rinse. So you don't need a wash tank. And then SR30. Now, if you get into that, again, geek out, you would need to have a wash tank. And there's some other things around that. But the soluble support, we've got some that you can just put in water, it'll soak away, and then you're left with your part. So like this top picture, I think is one of the best ones. You can see that to fill in all of this empty space, right? You have to fill that with that support material so that it prints properly. Then you put it in water and out comes your final end use part. Pretty cool, right?
Very cool. Dottie, we have you for about 5 more minutes or so, and then we'll see if we could squeeze some questions in possibly. I know you're on a tight schedule tonight.
Yep. So here's an example. This print, this mechanical gripper, that's an example. This is one that was done with a support material. And then you'll notice again, I love that little video because you can see that it's an actual moving part when they finish it.
Very cool.
So last part, I mean, this is it. It really difficult stuff here. So what do? Well, you create a print, you slice the file, and you print your part. So the 3 main ways that you can design or get a part, you can design it in CAD. So any kind of CAD program will work. We're not limited to one. We're open on that. Any type of CAD program you want to design in, from Tinkercad for little kids to AutoCAD, to the bazillion of other ones that are out there. Scan, you can scan it, and they do have 3D scanners. Again, that's not something we do, but shout out to the people that have 3D scanners. And then you can also browse and download. So I don't know if your listeners and viewers have ever gone to Thingiverse. Are you familiar with Thingiverse?
Oh my goodness, I love Thingiverse. So this is great. So CAD is computer aided design, right? CAD.
Mm-hmm.
And just to start off there, so there are 3D printing CAD programs that are out there that you can download, or you can just go to their websites and you can use them. And you can actually draw. Like, I'm a chicken scratch drawing kind of guy, but they make it very easy. If you have a little bit more of artsy background, then you can do even better. Or you can outsource that and have somebody do the CAD file for you, and you can still own a printer, or you can provide the file to somebody else to print. And then these 3D printers are really cool. You revolve around whatever it is that you're going to print, and it comes up on the computer, and then you just download it into, or you insert it into the printer, and it prints.
Yep.
And Dottie, you were talking about Tinkercad.
Tinkercad
You don't have to go ahead. You don't have to make anything. You can just have fun.
That's Thingiverse.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thingiverse.
Yeah, Thingiverse.
Thingiverse.
You go to Thingiverse, and there's thousands and thousands of things you can download just to try it out. And you do not have to be techie at all. But here's kind of what it looks like in the software. So you'll notice here I've put a part this is in my build plate. So this would actually go to the printer that's sitting behind me. And you can tell here I've got different settings I can do. I can move it around on the build plate and resize it and do all kinds of stuff. So just to kind of get an idea of what this looks like in a 3D world. So
very cool.
Kind of interesting. So yeah, so there's the new project. This one was flat, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to just look at it real quick. And then once something has printed, here's an example. So when something is printing, you can actually watch it print. This is not a finished print. This is actually my printer at home. And this was something that I had started. And so it was printing here, but this is all of the things that I've printed recently. I can tell when they're completed. And then it'll actually show you pictures. So like if you're not at home and you're out at dinner and you just want to see how your project is coming along, you can actually view it from wherever you are.
Very cool. Very cool. So we can buy a 3D printer from MakerBot or one of your resellers. We can buy the filament or the different material, and we can figure out there's some kind of chart or something to know what material that a 3D printer of yours takes, and then what the purpose of each of the materials are. And then we just keep doing it over and over again. I mean, there's some maintenance to it, but it sounds like you can have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. And I actually, Brian, I put in the chat, I think it's the private chat. I don't know that it went to everybody, but what I did was I just created a very simple form, just a Google form, so that if you're interested in talking to somebody, I've asked kind of what you want to do with it, because we can get you in touch with somebody that can help you specifically talk about your use case, your need, and then they can help you determine. So I don't recommend, if you're not super familiar, just going to a website and buying a 3D printer. I really recommend we get you in touch with somebody that can consult with you so that you get the right thing for now and also to grow into. So again, keep in mind that, when you're creating some of these parts, the printers do range. They range. You can get a printer. People always ask me, well, how much is a printer? Well, I can get a 3D printing pen that's $32. And I can get a 3D printer that goes on a line that's $500,000. So there's a wide range, but you can get a good desktop printer that's going to really do finished parts. Because again, you guys are out there. You don't want cheap, cheap stuff. You want stuff that is going to go to an investor, that's gonna stand the test of time, that's gonna get your stuff ready to manufacture. So under $10,000, you can get a printer. And you heard him say, this goes to take one example, one part that you're going to print that might cost that much. And now you can print those different parts for $50, including like this nice, bear, isn't that nice?
Yeah, a lot of people are asking about how much the material costs and how much it costs to print and how long also it takes to print. If you could just let us know.
Yeah, those are all really good questions. Materials will depend on the type of material you're using. So again, something like a PLA, which is just a basic plastic, that's going to be really cheap. You're going to get into, the ABSs and things like that. Those can be, $100 a roll, but on a roll, you're going to do quite a few prints. Again, printing, how much time is it going to take? Am I printing this? This is just a little cog that, kind of moves. Or am I printing this? I will say, it is not microwave. This is an oven. Not really, but for lack of a better word, some of the prints, some of them will take a day. Some of them will, take 24 hours. Some of them will take 3 hours. Again, depending on the size and the complexity, and there's, your infill. There's lots of different variables that are going to change what that looks like. But again, what we hear over and over again is, wow, that did take 24 hours, but for me to get that part before took me 3 weeks.
Wow. Well, here's a couple quick. Do we have you for a few more minutes, Dottie? You
Sure.
Okay?
Yes, sure.
So Alec, there's a bunch of questions. I've been putting up different comments. People are really enjoying your presentation. Dottie, thank you so much. Alec, one of the most challenging things about 3D printing is the speed of printing. Can we hear a bit about what the speed progress we have made and, more importantly, speed of printing? Please elaborate.
Absolutely. So, Alec, I think what you're talking about is true, especially with FDM. Now, again, we haven't talked about all of the other types of 3D printing that are out there. And so, again, you can get faster. What that's going to entail is size and cost, right? So, again, everything has to do with cost. So like if you look at some of the Stratasys machines, like if you're looking to put something on a manufacturing line, then I would recommend you look at a more powerful, more expensive machine. And those will be able to do things a little bit faster, especially with some different technologies that we don't do. So again, I'm not the best person to talk about it, but again, if you're interested and your speed is a concern, just fill out that form and just put that in there, because we can also get you in touch with somebody at Stratasys that might be able to help you pick out exactly what you want to do and what your need for speed would be.
Excellent. And Stratasys is the parent company of MakerBot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, quick question. How large of a product can I print?
So here's what I will say about that. Right now, the largest printer, this printer is an 8x8x8. I'm pretty sure. So you're going to be able to print a fairly good size piece. But what I will say, and there are printers that are bigger, and we do have some of those in the Stratasys line. What I will say is when you get to super big things, like I will bring back out my friend here, the Fly, especially with something that's intricate like this, you may not print it all at once. And what you will find is people will print it in parts, and then they will actually put the design together. So even don't think you're locked into build volume by the size of the printer. You may just need to figure out how to plate it and put things together at the end. So with this printer, it's an 8x8x8. With other printers out there in the world, they do have ones with bigger build volume.
Very interesting. Well, any other questions? I'm going through here. There's a lot of great comments, which I've put up on the screen already. John, you mentioned SolidWorks, and you can learn from a solid professor. Yep. That support material is a game changer. Very cool.
Awesome.
Samantha, great information. We have some thank yous. Thank you so much, Dottie, for being our guest tonight. Really interesting. Yeah, there's great stuff. With interesting question here. How do you continue the print if there's a power outage? Does it have a generator or something behind it?
This one does not, and that can be a problem. It can pause and restart. So I have had times where, things have paused and then you can actually restart that print. Especially for things like, I haven't really had too many power outages, but like the filament runs out and you need to replace the filament. So it'll kind of pause. There are times, and this is with any 3D printer, that, if something like that happens, sometimes you have to start over, which is a bummer. But if power going out is a huge issue, what I would recommend is a battery backup on there.
Right. I think people are talking about power outages tonight because we've been hit. A lot of areas have been hit with very hard storms tonight, so it must be on his mind. But
yeah, it must be. Yeah, that one is a little bit hit or miss. It can stop the print and you can restart it, but it sometimes I just don't want to promise that it'll always, because of the way that it's laying the filament down and stuff, and it's in a process. And sometimes, power going out can kind of mess things up. Yeah.
Well, I think that should do it. I put your information in the chat. Okay. Dottie is on LinkedIn. You can find her, Dottie Stewart. MakerBot is in Brooklyn. There's many resellers around. If you'd like to buy your own 3D printer, if you choose to have somebody else do it, there's other great resources that are available out there, right, Dottie? I mean, there's plenty of people that use.
Go to your local high school. Go to your local high school. Kids are learning how to do this.
Right, high school.
Go to your local college. I mean, this is a skill that kids are learning so that they can design and be the designers for the future auto companies and aerospace. Because this is what they're using to prototype.
Yeah, and even like you said, colleges, libraries, and just a couple other ones that I use. There's 3D Hubs is another one. 3D Hubs, I think, where you can find people with a local 3D printer out there. But these days, like what's an average 3D printer cost, Dottie?
So again, it depends on what you want to do. I would say don't go for the cheapest one typically, but they're going to range. If you want to do high temp materials, if you want to do ABS and you want to do that kind of prototyping, you're going to be in around the $5,000 range to get yourself started.
Okay. Well, that's super. I hope everybody enjoyed your presentation. Well, I know they did. If there's any questions, where can we connect up with you, Dottie?
So I have put the link for the form in here. That would be the best place. Even more so than LinkedIn, because sometimes I get busy. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. Absolutely connect, because I'm always posting stuff. But if you specifically want me to connect you with somebody that can help you with a project, I put that link. Do you see that link, Brian, or do they have that link?
I just am sending it again one more time to everybody, so you can click on that link and put your information in there. So very good.
Yep.
All right,
and
Dottie,
I have a couple other people
thank you so much.
Monitor that so that we'll get you connected with somebody.
Excellent. Thank you again, Dottie. Really appreciate it. And we'll keep in touch, and we get to see people's innovations from 3D printing, and you can even use 3D printing if you want to just make something, make your invention, sell it one at a time, as long as your costs are there and you have the time, until you see that you can actually sell your product and you have some activity going on. And then maybe you can talk about doing or stepping up to the next level of a 3D printer, a MakerBot 3D printer. Yep. And then maybe you'll end up going into tooling and all that other stuff. But to start off with, it's a great alternative for testing and exploring and gauging the interest of your invention or your product. Or if you want to make parts, you want to have fun and do all these, little types of 3D prints, you can go to, it's Thingiverse, right? Thingiverse, and download things on there. So thank you again, Dottie. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. If anybody does have really cool 3D prints that they do and they want to share them on Thingiverse or share them with me on LinkedIn, I do try to share things out. So
thank you. Thank you again. Thank you very much, Dottie. That was fantastic. Everybody, really appreciate you being part of the National Inventor Club. Thank you. Please go on there and like and share and subscribe, whatever you can do to keep in touch with us. And everybody just keep on inventing. Keep coming up with these great ideas. Stay with us and get as much information as you can out there. I'll also share in the chat the Inventor Smart newsletter. And thank you very much. Have a great night from National Inventor Club. And again, keep on inventing.